Not the Footy Show.
Oh, right. Yeah, I was at church, and then I was so the pastor was preaching, and then my phone goes off. I was like scrambling hard, and then I quickly ran outside.
It was pretty early in the morning. He called, and it was a bit unexpected, but I didn't see it. My missus said Freddie's calling, so I was like, I crossed my fingers, hoping it was going to be some good news, and yeah, thank God it was, and yeah, I'm just so happy right now.
Be the ball.
G'day everybody, welcome to episode 237 of Not The Footy Show. I'm Warrick Nicolson. That is Robb Cox. This is a piping hot, fresh pile of New South Wales Origin team reaction. Cocksmith, you've just been busy all weekend. I've been glued to the television, hating rugby league. We'll get to that a little bit later, or more to the point, bored with rugby league. But there is a New South Wales Origin team to dissect. So to open the show, Cocksmith, I'm going to read it to you. You have not seen it yet, am I correct?
No, I haven't seen it. I've heard the whispers, but I haven't seen it.
Oh, whispers. Got to love a bit of whisper. But fresh, straight away. Fullback. T. Tedesco. Almost got you. Teddy's obviously...
T. Tedesco?
T. Tedesco. Teddy's fine. Apparently hit pointer on the weekend. He's good to play. They'll just needle him up and he'll be fine. I think he's the captain as well, but New South Wales actually haven't released a press release as we record this yet, confirming that. The wingers, your man, he's in there. Apparently he'd be playing the right wing, which he played last year, but has been playing left wing all this year. And one Jay Addo-Carr will be playing on the left. So and JAC, your wingers. Your centers.
Interestingly enough, they both can play either wing.
Yeah, that's. I think that'll inform what they do in the centers on the edges now for New South Wales as to why they're switching sides. The centers, I'm all for it. L. Mitchell on the left, T. Trbojevic on the right. It's nice to be back where we were a couple of years ago when you went, gee, we can score some points with this team, isn't it? So that's the three-quarter line. Jay Luai is the 5/8. Although I will say, I thought he was a bit quiet the last 2 weeks. He wasn't dynamic against South, even though they won by 50. On Saturday, really quiet against the Bulldogs, but they've gone for the combination. I like it. I'm with you. I messaged you last night saying last night was Jack Whiten for the X amount of weeks to stand up for Canberra. It didn't happen again. So I just couldn't see how they could pick him at 6. And no surprises, N. Cleary is the halfback. So that's the back line, Cocksmith. Tedesco, To'o, Mitchell, Trbojevic, Addo-Carr, Luai, and Cleary. Initial reaction?
Yep. I'm glad they went with Luai. I mean, I had heard or didn't hear. I read something today much earlier before midday that Luai was in the team, but probably or possibly could be number 14 rather than 6. And I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad that Freddie, because I mean, Jack Whiten has been, out of form, as has his team. So I'm glad that Luai has got the first shot at the 6 this year. I think
they can both play left. They can both play right. We've got some dynamic,
and they quite often get together. So that will bleed across into New South Wales as well. I think I've got a feeling that Freddie's going to say, "You guys just play how you've been playing at club level,"
which is why I like the fact he's surrounded by talent. There is the centers are just unbelievable. Having Trbojevic, who'll roam, Mitchell, he'll probably roam a little bit as well, and then Teddy obviously off the back of all that, and To'o, his job will be meters at our own end. So it'll be very interesting to see whether Queensland kick to the opposite wing as a result of him being there. And then Addo-Carr obviously can finish with the best of them. So that's the back line. I like it. And it's surrounded by talent. The forward pack, Tyson Frizzell, he's not in the team. He did his ankle in the last couple of minutes of the game
he's out,
tonight.
is he?
And then he also is probably going to get charged for a swinging arm in a tackle. So I think the fact he tried to play on, he just couldn't walk. Freddie's cut the cord and said, all right, we're not going to sit there and willy won't for a week. He's out. So the forward pack is Daniel Saifiti at prop, Damien Cook, quite rightly at hooker. Jake Trbojevic will start at prop. Now we flagged on the last couple of pods that he'd be playing the prop role off the bench. Teddy's going with him at prop. Cameron Murray will play in the back row with Tarek Sims. I'm not sure which edge they'll play. I'm fascinated to see which edge they'll play because one of them has to defend Luai, the other one will defend Cleary. And then Isaiah Yeo is the lock. So the forward pack, just to repeat. Safidi, Cook, Trebojevic, Murray, Sims, and Yeo. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I do like it. I'm disappointed Frizzell couldn't be there. But yeah, that sounds pretty good.
And
So I'm guessing.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, I was just going to preempt the bench. I don't know who they are, but I'm guessing that at least Junior Paulo, Payne Haas as well.
Haas apparently is healthy. He'll play. Bone bruising, they said, rather than medial. So that's good. Just quickly, Sims, I don't think he'll play 80 minutes. They don't need him to play 80 minutes with the way that the bench is constructed. But he is a bit of a hit man. He got away with a nice little knee the other night into someone's head.
Oh, was that game? How did he get away with that?
I don't know, but he did.
Looked like he looked straight at him.
And lifted his knee straight into his face. Littles. Anyway, yeah. And then we have a bench of Jack Whiten has beaten out the King. He's gone. Gutho not even in the squad.
He was in the ads and everything, but now not in the squad.
Junior Paulo, Payne Haas, and Liam Martin is your bolter for game 1.
Wow.
Now, he came in for Frizzell. So that would suggest that Tarek Sims or Murray would have been off the bench and Frizzell would have started, and they've brought in Liam Martin. We have been all about this extra or this fourth reserve for New South Wales the last few weeks in the show, and he needs to play 10, 15 minutes, if that. So I don't mind Liam Martin in that role. I don't want him playing more than that. But I think he can rip in, give us 10 minutes, get Safidi or Djabrojevic back on the field. I'm fine with that role. And he can cover the back row if he needs to. So the bench being Whiten, Paulo, Haas, and Martin. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like it. I like that. I like Martin. I think he brings a lot of energy. The way he's playing at the moment with Penrith when he comes onto the field, he's obviously playing off the bench at the moment.
And that's the role he's been playing,
Yeah, brings a lot of energy. I mean, he's playing bigger minutes. He's probably playing for 35 minutes a game.
Yeah.
But he probably won't be needed for that much. And I like the fact that Freddie has shown his hand and has been a little bit loyal to Whiten. I mean, he did win the Dally M medal last year. So he's probably more or less, in his actions and probably words that we'll probably never hear, but he's probably saying to Jack, look, I've got some faith in you. Here's your opportunity. Make that position yours, and you'll be there for the rest of the series. If not, then we'll look elsewhere. But good on Freddie. I think he and the sleep doctor have picked a pretty good team here. I like it. I do like it. And it's not a whole lot dissimilar. I think Martin's the only one that probably didn't really come too much into conversations because when we first picked our teams 2 weeks ago, Crichton and Frizzell were both available.
And walk-up starts for the two sides. Set left and right.
Yeah. And to answer your question before about Luai, he's been a bit quiet. I did read somewhere that Nathan Cleary admitted that he thought that the last 2 weeks have been his two best games that he's played, and that could be Luai's just kind of pulled back a little bit and just thought let him run the show. So, I noticed when Nathan Cleary went off yesterday though in that club game, Luai did step up a bit, as did Tyrone May. So, I think we're gonna I really hope, and I think we're gonna see some really good combinations there with those Penrith. What is it? 5 of them? 4, 5.
Toto, Luai, Cleary, Yeo, Martin,
5.
And then there is 2 extra players that have been picked in the squad to train.
I did hear about one of them.
Be 18th man. That's Api Coruscant. Looks like he'll be 18th man, which I don't mind. The one position we can't afford to lose, you can argue, is D Cook. So if we lost him,
we don't have any coverage.
No coverage at all, really. And just quickly on Whiten, before I get to the other reserve, he covers so many positions. That's the thing that I think he got picked ahead of Gutherson for. And Gutho, we're not anti-Gutho. It's just he's a really good fullback at club level who got exposed in the centres last year at Origin level. And if you can't, I can't look at what I saw last year in those positions and say he can cover everywhere. His defense just in the line's not good enough. And the other player, which is surprising, given the Penrith run of players, Campbell Graham has been selected as the 19th man and not Stephen Crichton.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think wasn't Campbell Graham in the squad last year?
So was Crichton, and so was Zach Lomax. Actually, no, I don't know if Campbell Graham did make the squad last year. I'll have to check that.
Okay.
He didn't play, obviously, in any Origins, but he's been drafted in. He only just came back from injury as well. I don't mind it. Well, he can cover a bunch of positions. He has been a specialist winger and he's been a specialist centre. So that could be why they've got him on. I don't know if there's anyone actually in doubt. So there's the full team. I'm sitting here and I'm going, Freddie didn't stuff up. I think Freddie listened to his own little man in this instance for the most part. And we lose the game, but I'm not sitting here going, gee, I wish they'd pick this player. I'm
with you. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a strong team. I think it's both strong defensively and in attacking form. So yeah, I can't think of anyone that I would have chosen instead of. Do you know what I'm saying? Other than what we've had with injuries and suspensions, I think he's picked the best team available.
And I wonder if Payne Haas doesn't get up and his knee gives him issues by the end of the week. Do you feel like Freddie might just play Coruscant on the bench?
Oh, geez.
Or does he bring in a 15-minute front rower? I don't know.
Origin's one of those ones. We've spoken about this. It's hard, isn't it? I mean, you don't know what kind of game you're going to get until you're in it. So you're got to make a couple of guesses there. I think the safest bet would be to bring in someone, and I'm not saying him, but someone like Regan Campbell-Gillard or Tavita Pangai Jr. or someone that can give you 20 minutes of knock them down, drag them out style, you know.
Mm-hmm. See, I reckon Dale Finucane's the guy I'd bring in.
Yeah, Finucane's definitely one of those ones as well. I forgot about him for a moment. I always forget about the Storm players.
The other two,
the Queensland as well.
Look, he hasn't had a great year, and I know we discussed this off air, but if I had to bring someone in to play that role off the bench, cover a few positions, who can play forwards, Wade Graham would come in. I'd just bring him in. He's been in the system before. I know. He's been this. Everyone can get hurt in any moment. That's my argument in regards to his head knocks. But someone who's played rep football before, who could just come in and on the drop of a hat on a Monday. That's the kind of player I want in the team.
Jack DeBellum.
He knows how he went the other day.
Well, I heard he was gassed after 5 minutes. Go on, and you wouldn't expect anything less, really. I mean, anyway, sorry, I digress.
That's all right. You digress. So that's the team: Tedesco, To'o, Mitchell, Trbojevic, Adokar, Luai, Cleary, Safidi, Cook, Trbojevic, Murray, Sims, Whiten, Paulo, Haas, Martin, Coruscant, and Campbell Graham. Those last two are in the extended squad. There is a bit of resolution, apparently. The 18th man situation, whoever is 18th man will get paid full money, or has been something that's been pushed.
Real. That's awesome.
That's what I think the Players Association has pushed. So I wonder if the fact that Pitt named two, do they both get paid all their money? I don't know.
No, I couldn't imagine so.
There is one winner in all this, the Tigers, who play the Panthers this weekend. I think.
Let's not forget, I heard that Capewell is in the Queensland team. Yeah. Pretty well for sure and certain. So, but
does Appy as 18th man? I assume I haven't seen anything ironclad yet as we record this at 8:30 on Sunday night. But does that mean that he's now out of the game?
Well, you'd imagine if he's getting paid full tilt, he'll be out of the game.
It's a fascinating element. Now, Queensland traditionally name their team after New South Wales. I don't know why we always go first, but we do. And there's always a risk with Queensland that they will name a squad and they won't name a team. And then they'll wait till like Thursday to do this big dinner. And, at number one, like, just name your team. Fair dinkum. All we know is that Josh Papali will not be there. Cam Munster will be there. And what else do they do? We'll react to their team probably on Tuesday if it's a late release on Monday night. If it's only early on Monday afternoon or something like that, we might get up and get something done. After the break, we've got to talk about where Origin 1 will be played here on Not The Footy Show.
Not The Footy Show.
Hold on. I've got a yawn. Nothing to do with you, mate.
Okay, we're back. It's episode 237, Not the Footy Show. Warrick, Nicolson, Robb Cox. Mate, Melbourne, unfortunately, COVID's reared its head again, and it looks like that will not be the case. They will not get the MCG origin that we've been waiting for. There's lots of logistical elements and financial downsides for the NRL in this, but it means we need a new location for game one.
Yep.
Original chat was Canberra. Looks like that's not even remotely on the table. And Townsville has emerged as the front runner, taking the game back to the heartland is the catch cry of the Queenslanders. Newcastle is the other name that's been bandied around. I just want to give you a bit of an either or scenario. Don't get me wrong, I've been to Townsville. We went to Townsville together actually, and we saw a semi-final up there, and the fans love their footy up there, and they travel from a long distance.
Yep. New stadium, not bad.
Since '95, new stadium, fantastic. But as great as it would be to have a game up there from that perspective and rewarding those fans, imagine how amazing Origin would be in Newcastle, given how their fans turn up. They turn up whether they win or lose up there.
Yep.
They had another 17 and something, 18,000 today. There was 15,000 on Friday night for the Warriors and the Cowboys. They're gradually getting more fans into that new stadium.
Yep.
If you could possibly take your New South Wales hat off, all right, which would you reward, Newcastle or Townsville?
Well, they'll say Townsville because there's a new stadium there. There's a few elements at play here. I can't take my New South Wales hat off. Sorry, I've never been able to. But I'll try and put it aside for one moment. Quite often, rugby league types will say, especially if they live north of Manly, they'll say, we need another team on the Central Coast. We need our own team. Yep. I don't disagree, but I kind of do disagree. The problem for Newcastle is, what does the stadium hold?
No, it holds 25 to 28, I think. I think it holds a lot.
Right. So and it holds 30 in Townsville, correct?
I think it's close.
I think it's
to
25.
It's
25.
It's not. They're not hugely different, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Look, I would love to see it in Newcastle, because I think it'd be a once in a lifetime opportunity for Newcastle to get it. Because as much as all the naysayers, COVID will be around forever. Yes, it will be. You're right. But so is the flu and the cold and everything like that. When everyone gets vaccinated and we come to grips with freaking out about 3 people dying in the last 6 months, which is the numbers, by the way, in case anyone didn't know. Since October 25th, 2023, people have died in Australia. Yet we continue to shut borders down at the drop of a hat, Anyway, I think it'd be great for Newcastle. I can see why maybe Canberra won't get it. It's quite close to Melbourne, if you know what I mean. There could be some stragglers that are in Canberra.
Still a long way. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'd like to see it in Canberra as well. I really do.
That's the neutral venue if they wanted to play that. And this goes back to our discussion that was sort of bandied around a little bit earlier. There's no way New South Wales are winning this argument against Queensland. The game always panders to Queensland. It does. It just does it in this case. It's the way it goes.
Mate, you hit the nail on the head the other day in a text message when you said that we always bend over for Queensland. And we do. Yeah. We break our backs for Queensland to keep them happy, because they're perennial whingers, basically. And I always think that everything's stacked against them.
They are, though, Cocksmith. They are.
Well, I know they are. So let me just tell you a little stat.
There we go.
2016 was the last year that New South Wales got 2 games in a state of origin series. Okay. 2016. Yep. Do you know when the last time Queensland got 2 games? 2017 and 2019.
Yeah, but Queensland, they need help. They didn't win 8 or 9 series in a row. They didn't win that many, mate. Origin was dead when New South Wales won 3 in a row.
So it's been 5 years since we've had 2 in a row in New South Wales. 5 years. And 2017, 2019. So 2 years ago, Queensland had it, and then 2 years before that. And otherwise, we've had neutral venues like Adelaide, Perth, or Melbourne. I think it's about time New South Wales got one. And, you know, even if it's at Bankwest.
No, see, I can't have it at Bankwest. I just, what's the point? Just take it to Newcastle.
Yeah, I get it. But is there another big stadium out west anywhere? Have we got any big stadiums?
No.
Like a 30,000 seater? We don't.
No. Mudgee. For the Charity Shield, next logical one is obviously Origin.
Yeah.
Look, Queensland, the key here, bit as a New South Wales fan, putting the hat back on my head, is that they have game 2. So we're going to take game 1 in front of rabid Queenslanders or North Queenslanders if they end up seceding from the Union.
And there'll be more Queenslanders up there than New South Wales people will be in Brisbane, if you know what I'm saying. At least if you had it in Brisbane, there's a fair chance there'll be some New South Welshmen there.
And apparently,
someone on the radios.
Yeah.
Someone on the radio just said today, why not just go, you know what? We're going to go 2 in New South Wales and 2 in Queensland. Sorry, 2 in New South Wales, 1 in Queensland this year. We're going to have two in Sydney, 1 in Brisbane.
And make it up to them in Sydney. 3 years or whatever. But, you know, as you've just put stats in before, mate, with the facts, let's just throw them out and just reward Queensland with 2 Origins back to back. Mark Taylor was on, I saw a little clip on Twitter today, and he had an interesting viewpoint. He said, if both the first 2 games are in Queensland, as the New South Wales coach, he has to say to his team, you're only going to win 1 game and we can come back and play the decider at our place. Only downside of that, Tubby, is we could lose both games and we come back for game 3 and we can't win the series.
You lose the first one, it's all on the line.
I've got a compromise that even Queenslanders can't argue with. All right? Hear me out. First half, let's play that in Townsville. And then, put them on a plane the next day. Let's play in Newcastle. Because that's fair. That's what Queenslanders want. They just want fairness. Is that right? And we can play Wednesday, Thursday. Think of the ratings, Cocksmith.
All right. I've got something else. Cutting edge as well. I don't mind it. I don't like it. Why not have it at a secret venue with no crowd? Secret venue. Mate. No crowd.
At what stage has the NRL ever been able to keep anything a secret? You can't answer that. I can. I was there. They can't. The papers knew stuff before I did, and I worked for their main social media.
I'm just trying to come up with something. I don't know. I still think it should be in New South Wales because it's about time. Unfortunately, the COVID thing has come along, and we need to think on our feet, and we don't need to go to Queensland for it. Thanks very much. They won last year.
I'm with you. Go Newcastle. After the break, we will spin the wheel of justice, NRL style, in round 13.
Not the Footy Show.
Bullet State.
Here we go. And who wants to argue this one? If that's his fate.
Okay, he's not contesting the ball. He's got eyes for the defender. He's him high. It's on report. It'll be a penalty against him. Okay.
And he's not going to the sin bin. I cannot believe it. Wow. What has happened to the crackdown? Crackdown, rest in peace, because on behalf of Victor Radley, I say what has gone on there?
Okay, we're back. Episode 237. It's wrapping up. It's just been our reaction to New South Wales Origin 1 team that Freddie has picked. We think Freddie has mostly picked. Sleep Doctor factor may have been strong in a couple of selections, but we're relatively happy with that. We've also firmly landed on Newcastle getting the first half and Townsville getting the second half, or whichever way you want to do that for Origin 1. Let's just split it nice and evenly. Evenly, it's an interesting word, that, isn't it? Evenly. That suggests things like consistency, application of the rules fairly, et cetera, et cetera. Cogsmith, you sent me a message Thursday night. Was it Friday? Friday during the day, then Friday night. And a long story short, people, it basically suggested that has the crackdown been softened / thrown out? And I responded and said, look, I haven't watched the first 2 games extremely closely, but given there wasn't a lot of Origin player factor in particularly the Friday night games, so I didn't really notice it. It wasn't something that stood out to me. So I sat down Super Saturday. I watched the 3 games back to back to back. Bored out of my mind. Rugby league, it's killing me at the moment. But they changed the rules. We have changed the rules again because it's time. It's Origin time, and you said it. Origin's around the corner, and to wrap it up, people, no one knows what's going on. Referees don't know what's going on. The players don't know what's going on. I don't know if PVL knows what's going on, but there was clearly, allegedly, a directive in the last 7 days from the NRL to their referees and the teams saying, we're going to spin a wheel and see where it lands in relation to high contact. Comments, Scott Smith?
Yeah, look, I preferred this week to last week, as far as, you know, there was still some things that were, there was still some, like Moses Leota got a penalty, a sin bin yesterday. Actually, I didn't mind that one. I didn't mind that as a sin bin. There was a swinging arm, you know, across the bloke's mouth. So yeah, but I have no problem with that. There's been a couple of little ones that I'm a bit, that's a bit weird, but I think it's more or less gone back to where we were in rounds 4 and 5 this year. Maybe a couple more sin bins. There weren't that many sin bins. So, but here's the thing. For mine, and you know, I can't say too many nasty things about the NRL. I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me. But here's the thing for mine. We spoke last week about Victor Radley. Now, you know, I know that you had an issue, Victor. You thought Victor was off the reservation and was going a bit crazy that night. But my late return on that, I just want to go back to it for a second, is that nobody got injured. Victor didn't hurt anybody. No one left the field injured, right? No one's having weeks and weeks off because of anything that Victor did on that evening at the SCG. The big loser is Victor Radley. He would have played Origin this year, and let's pretend for a moment he played 3 games. He gets $100,000. So from a referee's crackdown perspective, they've cost one bloke $100,000, allegedly or probably, and being able to play for his beloved New South Wales, probably something he's wanted to do since he was 10 years old. And, you know, Victor wasn't totally blameless in it. He had a couple of moments, but he didn't hurt anybody. It's not like he went out to maim anyone. He didn't maim anybody. He just bristled up in defence and maybe was just a bit too enthusiastic. In years gone by, mate, he probably doesn't get anything more than a week and maybe a fine. 5 weeks, $100,000.
And to go to what my point will be, possibly cost his team the match. Now, the reason I think that's important is that for the last 2 weeks, the NRL's been spinning the wheel of justice and it's potentially cost teams matches because they've been spinning that wheel of justice. It changed this week. So if you've lost games in the last 2 weeks because of the wheel of justice, can you just get those 2 rounds replayed, please? This is what I don't understand. And this goes back to my bewilderment last week. I'm going to use a better word than bewildered. I'm flabbergasted as to what they think is serious contact now. Because for 2 weeks, it was, ooh, ouch, off you go.
Yep.
And it cost players. My issue with Radley wasn't so much what he did. It's the fact that the game didn't protect him by sending him off when he was getting to that last 2 where he tried to take people's heads off. Didn't, as you say, didn't hurt him. I don't open that Pandora's box because Alex McKinnon, which means that the people in those tackles should never have played rugby league again if you want to play that argument. And I don't want to go too far down that road, but that's sort of where I immediately go to. And I'm sitting here going, if I'm a coach, I'm going, you've cost me points, NRL. Your wheel of justice has cost me points. And this is what the NRL can't sit here and be quiet about it, because we go back to 2 podcasts ago. And we talked about the fact that the NRL tried to get the media on side on the 6 again crackdown. That hasn't happened. And then they did it the day before Magic Round. And they came out and said, we're doing this. They haven't said a word about changing the rules for round 12. And this is why fans sit there, and you know how much football I watch. And I try and do that so I can have a reasoned view on things. And I did enjoy the game a lot. I'm not about to stop watching the game en masse. I'm not going to say anything stupid like that. But I'm bored because I'm just sitting there going, Jesse Ramian today did an almost identical tackle to what he did to Matt Duffy in round 1. That was a penalty. It wasn't 10 minutes in the sin bin. It wasn't a send-off. And it was a clear as day, deliberate into the back of the guy's head with his shoulder. David Clemmer does one with 2 minutes to go today on young Ben Trebojevic, who's not going to remember his debut. And he got 10 in the bin. It's as clear as day a send-off if Josh Rapali is sitting off the sideline a couple of weeks ago. Josh Rapali's sitting there surely watching that game if he watched it going, well, I enjoyed 3 weeks off. And I got sent off. And to your point, sorry, he's missed out on 30 grand because he's missing Origin because of that.
Yep.
And the NRL is changing the goalposts, and it's not just disheartening, it's unfair. It's unfair.
Look, I think any rule changes in a season is, I think it's, abhorrently unfair. How can a player like Victor Radley or Josh Papali or any of those guys change their tackling style, something they've learned since they're 10 years old, or in a junior system since they were 14? How can they change it overnight? You can't. It's all well and good to write it down on a bit of paper and say, okay, well, from now on, well, blokes have been in a high level of training for 10 years to ply their trade, and now you just gone and said to an elite playing group, who work on these things for hours and hours and hours every week, you must change it. Well, no. I mean, the players will and have revolted over things like this.
We won't go into that too far because that's a really embryonic story about the PVL factor and whatever. But to that,
what I'm saying is that players will revolt, mate. I mean, this is their livelihood. This is what they do. And when you change the whole makeup of it, it's a real hard thing to change in the middle of a season. And like you alluded to before, teams have been penalised through way of points because of that. Now, the big picture there is that coaches and players live and die by their results. When you start playing with rules and start willy-nilly enforcing some rules, yes, they're a rule, but willy-nilly bringing it in and saying, well, guess what? What you did last week, it doesn't matter. This week, we're going to penalise it. We're going to sit you down. You're not going to make you 100 grand. And you over there, you can have 3 weeks off. And, and mate, basically a whole lot of it is look at me. Because that's really what it is, isn't it? Look what we can do to the game like that, if we want to.
And that's the thing. I can live with that if that's your decision, ARLC, but you don't go 2 weeks and then change it because there's a big Origin game.
Change it back.
That's the bit. You know how much I hate players getting injured because of foul play, Cogsmith. You know that it's something that really it bugs me because I'm not, even though I grew up watching players getting their heads bashed in, it's never something I loved about the game. I love the physicality. Don't get me wrong. I love the stuff from the past is awesome to watch. I loved Origin because of the way that it was just intense, but people weren't, what they're doing now, if you're trying to get rid of it, you can't do what the NRL's just done over the course of 3 weeks. You can't do that because Victor Radley's just sitting there going, he's watching, and I wrote him down, and I don't remember everyone from the round. Ramian, just a penalty. Tavita Funa, just a penalty for the one on the kick through today on Tex Hoy. Rapana, just a penalty for a shoulder into the guy's head. Frizzell, just a penalty for a swinging arm. Will Chambers, 10 in the bin for, under the way they were doing the rule, it was a swinging arm, but it wasn't bad. He just got done because he made clear contact with him and got 10 in the bin. Clemmer, deliberate, only got 10 in the bin. Sean Kepi got 10 in the bin today, hitting someone high after they kicked it. Tapau, his one is a carbon copy of what Papali did, and he only got 10 in the bin. And we love Gus on this show, but Gus can't believe he got sin bin for that. And it does my head in. That was bad.
Didn't Tapau get something happen to him only a few minutes earlier, though, or a bit earlier in the game? Didn't he get his nose smashed in or something like that?
I'm not 100% sure, but I know that Tapau's one, like it's just full on contact. It's exactly the same as Papali's. The difference is that Safidi knocks Tapau down on the ground with his chin, which is impressive. And Madison, 10 in the bin. Leota's the one. They're the ones. The one to look at is Tapau, Clemmer, Ramian, and Leota's. They're all the ones they're trying to get out of the game. They really are the ones they're trying to get out of the game. Yet they're not being adjudicated in the same way across the board. And I'm wrapping it up now because I don't want to bore people. by us just whinging for a while, whether we're right or wrong. But the game shifted gears again because they have a marquee game coming up in 10 days' time. And the cynic in me goes, hello, this is Channel 9. Can I speak to Peter Volandis, please? That's the cynic in me. That's the cynic in me.
Mate, you may not be far wrong. I'm not too sure. I've never been privy to any of those conversations, but you could imagine something like that.
Mm.
But here's the thing. Let me finish this part of it off for me. It's an analogy, okay? There's a reason why things like McDonald's and KFC are really popular, right? It's because they're predictable.
Mm.
You can buy the same burger in St. Leonard's as you can in Perth. They taste the same. They're the same thing. That's why they're popular. People know what they're going to get. When an NRL fan turns the TV on after being away on holidays for 4 weeks and comes back and looks at it and goes, hold on, what's this game?
Hopefully not in Melbourne, but yes.
It's not predictable anymore. It's not that homely flavour that you're used to. The thing you want to watch on your Friday, Saturday night whilst sitting on the couch. Don't mess with the game.
I thought you were about to say don't mess with Zohan, but anyway.
Don't mess with the game, mate. It's dangerous territory.
And don't mess with it and then change your mind. That's even worse.
Exactly right.
It's even worse.
It's like, well, hold on. We went a little bit too far, I think.
I haven't seen the presser yet. If I can find it before I finish editing tonight, but I'm going to leave the final word to Desmond. Apparently, he has absolutely unloaded on the referee and essentially said well, I'm not going to spell it out because people might think I'm saying something else, but you can imagine what he may have alluded to the referee being in the game against Newcastle today.
Well done to Newcastle. They got the 2 points, but they were ably assisted, let's be honest.
That's the episode. We're wrapping up, Cocksmith. I know you've just fired up now. If you're watching us on YouTube, tired boy now, a fired up boy on the show. Thanks for your time. We will try and reconvene after the Queensland team is named. I'm not expecting any drastic decisions over there, but I will say this as we wrap up the show. David Fifita, very ordinary today. Very ordinary. He got yanked off the field because of his defence today. There might be other reasons, but that's how I saw it unfold. He made an error and then he didn't scramble on the play afterwards, and it led to a Cronulla try.
He'll still get picked.
He'll get picked, but I'm saying is if he's not clued in, he can be a liability, and as much as he can be a dangerous player, old D Fifita. And I like what we've done with our team. I like the idea of hopefully Cameron Murray almost matching up on him. That extra bit of speed, bit of and just they work over Fifita in defence. That's one thing that I'd be doing if I was New South Wales in the coaching staff. Cocksmith, thanks for your time. Get him at Instagram, ROBBCOX. We're at Not The Footy Show on Instagram as well, and facebook.com/NRL podcast. And give us a rating if you haven't already, which is like most of you, because I've done the numbers. The percentages say it's not many of you, but if you enjoy it, we'll do another podcast soon. And a big shout out to Vinny Parmigiana. He knows who he is. Thanks for listening for over 10 years, mate. It is very much appreciated. Cocksmith, I'll leave the final word to you, mate.
How about a review, Vinny? Pepsi. Have I ever sung you my Newcastle limerick? There once was a man from.
I'll beep it if you'd like me to. I'll preemptive beep.
It's quite disgusting, actually.
So if
everyone in Newcastle knows it.
Yeah, if you're hearing this on the podcast in between, disappointment. You have to Google it and look it up. Cocksmith. Imagine it in Cocksmith's voice. Yeah.
Not the Footy Show. It's people's escape. It's people's relaxation, and we need to do everything in order to continue that great tradition of Not the Footy Show.
Birthday boy. Pepsi.